Next up, we have Cthulhu featuring, I can't read those characters, from the Rolling Sky soundtrack. Once again, everybody, this is a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I'm a professionally trained musician and composer, and my objective here is to explain things in a way so that you don't have to be one to understand what is happening here musically. So, if you like the sound of that, make sure you're following the channel, subscribe to the channel, whatever term you want to use. Like the video, share the video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, become a member. Once again, everybody, if we reach 10,000 subscribers, members get early access, how to request songs if you're not in the stream, all that kind of stuff, and a bunch of other things at the end. I have a spiel for these at the end of the video, so stick around for that. Disclaimers showing on your screen right now, so go ahead and pause the video if you want to read them in full. Otherwise, let's do this. The feature artist is ZG. Featured ZG. Let's go. Cthulhu then. Let's go. Okay, so we start with what's it called? One of those Eastern instruments. I always think it's a zithar, but it could be a zithar. I'm not entirely sure because the zithar is this Indian one. We might be looking at the Arabic version of this because like this one is from like India. So might be this one. I'm not entirely sure. It's more like Egyptian. So we're looking more at like Middle East, Northern Africa variation of the zithar, maybe with an S. Which no, it's the same instrument. So, or no, this might be another variation. I don't know, dude. So yeah, we have one of these. These are called world music instruments. So we're having this one, and then we are having an electric guitar playing our initial motif. Motif being the smallest version of your musical idea. This is the essence from which everything else comes from. Of course, we are doing a Middle Eastern soundtrack, which means we're going to be using either a diminished scale or a harmonic minor scale. So, and of course, we have the drums and the other synths giving us the backup and the accompaniment. So accompaniment, of course, accompaniment being the background instruments, whatever is not taking the spotlight kind of thing. So right in my brain, I literally could start saying in your dreams, well, if you're starting to see me in your dreams, go touch grass. So the accompaniment, yes, I said, is whatever is not doing that. What happened to this chat? Don't worry about it. So, so we're having this going on, and as I said, we have two types of scale. We have the diminished, and then we have the harmonic minor. These are two of the, maybe the Hungarian minor as well. These are three different types of scales that require alterations to your usual scale. So a scale alteration, an alteration, means that you are changing the essential structure from the original scales that we have. Most scales are going to be 7 notes, and they're going to follow one of two main. They're going to be based on the main formula for scales. So, as I said, these are usually going to be 7 notes. Let's say, for example, C major. You're going to have C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. And then it goes up to C again, which is your octave. This is going to be the C natural major scale. If we were to take the relative minor scale, we would have A natural minor. And if we engage in alterations of this, we can engage in some other types, because when it comes to scales and everything else where harmony comes in, you want to create cadence, because once again, when you are making music, you're doing one of two things. You are building tension or you are resolving that tension. Point in between, we call the cadence. However, this cadence is usually achieved by making a specific chord, which is going to be your dominant 5. Your dominant chord, your major dominant chord. So, each chord in the scale that you get from it is going to have a specific number, which is going to have a specific function. So you're going to have your tonic, your supertonics, your subdominants, your dominants, superdominants, that kind of thing. And the most important ones are going to be your root chord or your tonic, which is going to be whichever scale you're using, the first chord that you have. So for example, in the key of C major is going to be the C major chord. And then your dominant, which is going to be the 5th chord. And the 5th chord of the scale, in which case, in C, is going to be G. And you just do that chord in major. and you create this dominant sound, from which, if you add the 7th to this chord, you get a tritone, and the tritone then begs to be resolved back into the original. So if we get C, G with the 7th chord, you get that natural resolution. However, some scales, for example, the scale of A natural minor, does not have that 5th major built in. We have A, and then we have E minor in the natural minor, which can be conducive to a cadence, but it doesn't have the same leading tone that the major scale does. You can't have that same... You don't have the tritone if you add that 7th. That's where the alteration comes in when we engage the scale of the harmonic minor. We take the 7th note, which in this case for A minor would be G. We raise it half a step to a G sharp. And now we now have the A harmonic minor scale when once you have these 4 notes, you have this very Middle Eastern sound, but the main objective back in the European times was not for that, it was for this. Let me actually do it properly. So here we have A minor, now we get E major, and if we add the 7th, we can go back to A minor. The cadence is a lot stronger. So we have that, now we have the altered scale of the harmonic minor. Now, a diminished scale, that is going to be a very different thing. Like, the whole point, again, harmonic minor is going to rely a lot on this part, right? The diminished scale is literally just these. Something like that. Because then we have... So it's all that kind of stuff. And then the Hungarian minor, you take the... you take that and then you raise the 4th. That's the Hungarian minor. Point here being that you want this sound, what is called a augmented. You have the augmented here, between the what is called the augmented second. For that. So we're having the guitar covering that, and yeah. All of this just to explain the kind of scale we're using, right? So yeah, let's see where this goes. We're 7 seconds in. Let's see where it goes. So you can hear the guitar using that right now. Okay, right now, so we are now having the drums. We are having I'm gonna call it a zetar for the sake of simplicity. I know that it's probably not a zetar. I keep forgetting the name of this instrument. If you know it in the comments, let me know. But we're having this. We're doing a doubling between the electric guitar and the zetar. The problem is, the zetar samples that we're having have this residual sound at the end, kind of like it echoes after every note, and the melody is way too fast for that. So the notes are starting to kind of just blend into one another, and it's turning what is otherwise a fun melody into an incoherent mess. Because now it's sounding like all the notes are being played at the same time, because that zetar is taking way too long for the sound to dissipate. Because if I were to do this, if we have the piano, right? Each note sounds... That was me messing up, right? And Boldu, welcome today. How you doing? So we're having that, but if we start adding too much echo to the piano, and if we start doing it in 2 octaves, like, it starts becoming very messy, and on top of that, the tone of the timbre of the instrument is very high up there, so it's also getting in the way of some of the other instruments. So it's muddying up the sound already which I think comes across as a disservice to the track, because the beat is already the beat is solid. The melody itself from the guitar was really solid, and right now I think it's just I think it's just the timbre of the instrument. Like, I would have gone with a different combination, maybe like a harpsichord with a couple of more effects, because the harpsichord could have sounded somewhat similar to what I have. Because let me show you. I have my keyboard. Here's a harpsichord, right? You add a little bit of echo, and I'm already getting a cleaner sound than if you go for the Z-Tot in this case. Now, the Z-Tot that we had at the start, it sounds really cool. I'm gonna blame Mario 64 for this one, because the sound from the one lava and desert maps in Mario 64 has that same instrument, and everyone who wants to do like Egyptian desert kind of sounds wants to use that exact sample, when you could just replace, once the melody starts picking up, you can replace it with a harpsichord and you're gonna get a very similar sound. So, let's see where this goes. Okay, now we're letting the guitar's playing a little bit more coherently. We interrupt and... Okay, we get a false drop over here, and now we are going straight for a build-up. The problem is, if you want a false drop, and you go straight for a build-up that you would have put before a false drop, you don't want to resolve it to the same place you would with the false drop, to the start of a build-up. The point of a false drop is that you drop back in to halfway through a build-up. So slowing this whole thing down, it's a very big disservice. It's a very big disservice to this, because it slows the tempo, because we had a good pace going on for the first 20 or so seconds, despite the melodic things from the instruments, right? Despite that, we were having a solid beat going on, and this hits the brakes a little too hard. You know how in car racing, if you slam the brakes too hard, the wheels lock on, and it then just ends up completely messing up the momentum? We're getting something like that over here, where the change in pace here is a little too abrupt, and the false drop is not giving us a far enough. Because, for example, let me just put a little diagram, right? So usually, if you're going to do a false drop, because the false drop essentially is what we would call a deceptive cadence. You want this effect from your false drop. Like, you have the cadence over here, you don't fully resolve all the way down, you want to build up more, so that then you can do a stronger cadence. However, what we did over here instead was we resolved all the way down, but we tried to use the deceptive cadence. So what we ended up doing is we had this, then we got the phantom, and then we started building back up, which is a kind of phantom resolution that you don't really want, because this kind of thing is going to interrupt the pace. Let's see where it goes. We're repeating variations of the motif, and I like that. What the hell was that? So we go from a solid, like the final moment, the hook that we had was actually pretty solid. We brought in a really cool version of the guitar and the motif, and we don't drop to a bass. We try to invert the idea, and this track is coming across to me as wanting to defy the standards and subvert expectations, and not really being able to pull it off. Because I'm seeing more or less what the intent could be here, where, we have the concept of inversion, right? So inversion is when you play something upside down. So we're having the concept, let's say the simple melody, right? We're having that. Inversion just means you're playing it upside down, like putting a mirror on top of it. So I can see how for something like a dropping of a beat, you want to build this, and then you want to resolve over here to create more build up with that. And you also want to invert, because usually people drop to a bass, and right now we dropped to a very high-pitched sound. Problem is that when you drop to a higher pitched sound and you're doing texture, you kind of need that bass. You kind of need that bass, because most of these rely very heavily on the bass, because usually when you have a strong bass, you can add texture to it and it becomes a complement to it. Except right now, we have defied expectation. We have absolutely defied expectation. And we just didn't pull it off now, did we? So, yeah, we're having this because, once again, when you're making music, you want to keep a careful balance between what is familiar, what is new. Too much familiarity, too much repetition, you risk boring the listener, they tune out. Too much new material too quickly, you risk overwhelming the listener, they tune out. Universal exception being solos, additional exception for electronic music being dropping the beat, where I give two conditions. If it's cool enough and if it fits enough. This did not fit, because at no point have we ever had these new textures being implemented. If we had introduced some of these textures a little bit before, the dropping of the beat would have worked a lot better. This is why usually the dropping of the beat goes with the bass, because the bass is going to fit one way or another. You're used to the bass in electronic music, so dropping the beat to a bass is going to work. And this is why usually you will hear them do the dropping to the bass first, and then we introduce the melodies. However, right now, we are trying to do the higher texture melody, the higher texture non-functional, and then bringing in the guitar, which it's not working. It's not working, so let's see where this goes. Let's see. And no, I'm not going to ban you from requesting Rolling Sky, because this is important to study too. It's just as important to study and to review and to go through why things work, as well as to how things don't work, because we finally have an example of a beat drop that does not work. We finally got that. After, 572 LFAs, we finally have an example of electronic music where a beat drop does not work. So these examples are important to have. Let's see where it goes. Because you can hear, this has more bass now. A little bit, but still no. So yes, the dropping, the texture doesn't fit. The rhythms are completely taken from out absolutely nowhere, and it just comes across as an incoherent mess. And no, organizer, this is Bright Q. So this just comes across to the image you see in the video is actually Cthulhu's theme. So yes, and I can imagine the composer being, well, Cthulhu being an eldritch horror, and you're not supposed to be able to, and these are supposed to be beyond human comprehension. That doesn't mean that you're gonna make music that is incomprehensible. Because if you're gonna make music that is incomprehensible, you're just making something that is incoherent. So, yeah. Let's see where it goes. There's the motif again. And yeah, and at the back, very far in the background, we have a bass giving us a couple of notes, and it's just, I am trying to wrap my head around. I think this person was trying to lean on too much onto the theme of eldritch horror, therefore it's incomprehensible, and ended up just making something incoherent. So, yeah, because the bass instruments are there. Bum, ba-da-dum. Like, it's there. why did you bury it in the mix? So let's see where this goes. Okay, so we have a little break over here doing a partial version of the motif. Partial, like just a couple of notes there, and if you can't see, then refresh. Let me hear this a bit. Okay. We change key, we change everything. Alright, we bring now. We have a bass! It's there! Where did this come from? Okay. Like, this is cool. Okay, now we are introducing the material again. Okay, this is another thing that you should not do. If you're gonna bring, Zelmic, welcome to Layman, how you doing? Yes, I'm stumped. Like, if you're gonna bring in a cool new beat, because the beat itself is cool, if you're doing it right after your drop, you want to at the very least use that hook from your original melody. Don't just use a random break from something completely unrelated. Like, actually let me hear that motif once again, because once again, your motif is going to be extremely temperamental, extremely jealous. And if you're not constantly giving it the spotlight, especially during a transition to the motif or some variation of the motif, it's going to sound disjointed. And that's exactly what happened over here. Like, once we got a repetition of the beat, then we got the motif, and now it fits. But for the first few moments over here, it was completely disorienting. So yeah, let's see where this goes. Because you can hear it's back there. Like, the motif is there. And the beat is cool, so... Okay. Oh, it was a build-up. It was a build-up. We do the hook again, and we go straight back to the same drop of the beat. I like the song. It is funny. It is funny. It is funny. Like, I do find it funny that, like, the idea that this person sat down here and genuinely thought that this was a good idea. No. No. Like, this is not an April Fool's prank. This is from August. This is just... Number one, if you... Like, you could have had that same rhythm that we're having during the drop. You put that in the bass, you can get away with it. Like, you can put in the bass and you can do some of the texture back up there to give it, like, that zigzag pattern and everything. You can get away with it. But you are not giving me anything... You're not giving me anything to keep up with. That's the issue here. That you're not giving, because usually you want at least one thread that the listener can cling on to be able to keep up with the music. Like, this kind of issue is the same issue that Gent runs into very, very often. Gent, of course, right? Being Gent, where... Yeah, we got really cool ideas, really experimental stuff, one after another, after another, after another. But the problem is that we are so preoccupied on intellectualizing the music so much that we stop making it. So, yeah, we're having this issue over here. Let's just see where it goes. Because the breaks with the motif are cool. The breaks with the motif are cool. This part is pretty okay, because we're introducing the motif again. Yeah, I think if these, instead of being up there in the mix, were closer to the bass, you would be able to get away with this. But the fact that you decided, because it sounds like, I don't know, it sounds like you took it like a can, like a soda can, and you smashed it with like a freaking nail clipper, and then you decided to use that sample to create this. Like, it just sounds like it does not belong. It just sounds like it does not belong there. And it simply doesn't belong there. If we had heard these textures at any point foreshadowed, then we would have been able to associate with this, or if we had done this in the base. Yeah. Nice roast. It's not a roast. I'm just saying how it comes across to me. Like, if I wanted to roast this, I would probably say way worse things. But right now, I'm trying to explain how this is happening, how this disconnect is happening. Let's see where this goes. Okay. You do one more run, you bring in this instrument with echo, it echoes out. The ending is not very satisfying. Let me hear that again. Let's hear the last bit. Because this part is pretty okay. This part is pretty okay. Yeah, adding that last phrase with the Zitar thing was a bad idea. Because you had already resolved with the bass guitar thing. And yeah. Yeah, this track here has many examples of what not to do. So there you go. Like, I'm gonna say, it's not that it's abrupt. It's that we start another phrase and we cut it short. So yeah, this track has a lot of bad decisions being made one after the other. Because if it had only been one of the decisions, like if it had only been the timbre in the drop, or the muddied sound of the Zitar, or this bit over here, if that had been the one thing, the rest of it would have been able to get away with it. But we got way too many things one after the other that ended up being, yeah, no, like, you need a producer. Like, at the end of the day, like, this is why some people need a producer. Because, yeah, any producer worth the salt would have been able to tell you, no, dude, redo this. Like, change something about this. This is not going to be, this is not very, like, it's not very coherent. So, yeah, I would apologize, but I don't want to. This is a great example of how not to make a beat, I guess. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, eventually we were going to run into something like this. Because, for example, Tactic Core. We did Tactic Core. And we got one main issue with it, which was the melody. Which was the melody being displaced. And that was the only issue. So the rest of the track was pretty good. But in this one, we had way too many issues in a row. So there you go. Oh, Malik, congratulations. Welcome to the naughty list. Requests are not open yet. So there you go. That was Cthulhu featuring ZG, I think, from the Rolling Sky soundtrack. Once again, everybody, this has been a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I'm a professionally trained musician, a composer, and my objective here has been to explain things in a way so that you don't have to be one to understand what's happened here, musically. So, if you're watching this on the YouTube video archive thing, thank you for watching. Make sure you're following the channel, subscribe to the channel, whatever term you want to use. Like the video, share the video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, become a member. Once again, everybody, if we somehow hit 10,000 subscribers on YouTube before Christmas of 2025, I will take a single fanfiction of the choice of the community. I will produce an audiobook for it. On top of that, I will also play a video game of the choice of the community, whatever y'all want, within terms of service, of course, if we hit 10,000 before Christmas. This has to be achieved through legitimate and honest means only. No account duping, no botting, no buying followers, no alt accounting, no rat behaviors like that. Go share the videos, the streams with your friends, with your families, with your family's friends, with your friends' families. Those are two very distinct concepts, by the way. With your online and offline communities, go share these far and wide, and use the hype function on YouTube. We have a group on Discord that uses it, so coordinate with them. Link down below, coordinate with them. Artists, this is an open invitation. If anybody wants any of my musical skills, whether it is the guitars, my Mongolian throat singing, you know, the girl ooh, 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 kind of thing, regular singing, that kind of stuff, just voice acting or anything, just reach out, let me know, and let's make it happen. And if you're in the audience and you know somebody who would benefit from it, let them know. Reach out. Please do not harass anyone. Please do not spam anyone. Don't be a rat about things, be cool. Members get early access to the content. I schedule the videos for the week on Saturdays, and if you're a paid member on YouTube, regardless of your tier, you get access to the videos when I schedule them, at least for the LFAs. So become a member today. If you want to listen to this without me interrupting every 2.5 seconds, I will be linking it in the description down below. If you want to request a song and you are not on the live stream, check the pinned comment. If you are on the live stream, go ahead and you can start requesting. If you are not on the live stream, go to the pinned comment. It has the instructions on what to do. And if you want to catch the streams when they happen live, we aim for Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Central European Time. If you are not in Europe, do not worry. We have the full up-to-date streaming schedule showing in your local time zone in both Discord and Twitch, both linked down below. So if you live in Bow Island, which is neither a bow nor an island, and you're like, yeah, but what time is 6 p.m. in Hungary? I don't live there. Just go to the Discord or Twitch. Both are linked down below. And it's going to show in your local time zone. And follow the gaming channel. I have a gaming channel because, of course, I have a gaming channel. I'm on YouTube. What else could I possibly have? Games are Basterd. That's where I put the gaming after show recordings when they happen. We record them live on stream, and then the recordings go there. Link down below, or just search on YouTube, same username as James R. Basterd. Just swap the J for a G, and you got it. And, yeah. There you go. Cthulhu, Rolling Sky. That was a learning experience, all right. Good stuff, but yeah, let's move on.